that's the thing. It's like, get your stuff in order, please,
Yes.
everybody. I mean, everybody has some unique situations going on, but get your stuff in order so you can keep people out your business.
Mhm.
You make some decisions and you've decided what you want to do with the stuff God has allowed you to acquire throughout your lifetime, and leave a legacy to people that you love, to
Yeah.
your church, to nonprofits, to your family, to your kids, to your spouse, to whomever.
Mhm.
But you get to decide versus it becoming a big mess in court.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Beauty in You podcast. I'm so excited because we're heading to my hometown of Georgia. Our guest today is not only an accomplished author, but an esteemed attorney with an impressive 40-year career in the state of Georgia. Her diverse legal journey has seen her to excel in roles such as prosecutor, attorney, judge, state, and local government employee. Additionally, she holds an insurance license showcasing her expertise. As a lifelong learner, she is passionate about sharing her knowledge to help others make powerful decisions about their lives. Welcome to the Beauty in You podcast, Sharon Baker-Boykin. How are you?
I am just so fine, and thank you so much for the invitation, and I'm looking forward to our discussion.
I am so excited to have you here. I'm so impressed. Like I told you when we talked previously, your journey is just amazing. Your career alone is amazing. So, can you just start out by talking about your rediscovery journey?
Wow. Well, as you mentioned in the introduction, I'm a licensed attorney in the state of Georgia for 40 years. And
Amazing.
every time I say that, I'm just surprised myself because the time has just gone by so quickly.
Mhm.
And I've done a lot of different things in my career, from being in private practice to being a part-time magistrate court judge to being a prosecutor, a special assistant attorney general. I've worked in state and local government and was a probate court administrator in DeKalb County, Georgia. So yeah, I've done a lot of things in those 40 years and have learned a lot, and enjoy sharing what I have learned so people can, like I say, get their stuff in order and stay out of trouble.
Mhm. Absolutely. During the course of your 40-year career, what are some challenges that you have faced?
Well, you and I both are African American females,
Yes, ma'am.
and a lot of times we're the first one in our family who are in certain rooms and have
Mhm.
gone through certain challenges. And that's adds a lot of more pressure on you when you're the first one.
Mhm.
Back now 40 years ago, when I was in law school, and in my first year of law school at University of Georgia, they admitted 150 first year students. How many do you think were African Americans?
I'm gonna guess 3.
Well, a little better than that. A little better. 10. 10 out of
10.
150 were
Wow.
African Americans. And out of the 10, 2 females and 8 guys. I was one of the females, and another female, she was from California. In fact, she transferred and left Georgia and went back to California to finish her law degree,
Wow.
her law school education. But when you're the first one, especially in your family or just in that kind of an environment, it adds more pressure on you. So you become stronger inside and out. And you wish that your ancestors had done it before you so they could have left a trail for you. But
Mhm.
when you're the first one, you're going through the desert, first of all, with the machete, and you're getting scratched up, but you're learning. And I think a lot of us, when we're in that role, we want to leave a legacy behind so we could help someone coming behind us so their journey won't be as, I wouldn't say frightening, but as challenging when
Mhm.
you were one of the first ones to go through it. So that I have taken that as to be my calling card to share what I have learned to help those coming behind me who want to be an attorney or whatever they want to do in business, just to, to open their eyes a little wider so
Mhm.
they can understand what they're going to have to endure and succeed at.
Absolutely. And you've definitely done that just by your courageousness. I mean, that has to feel intimidating, walking in. I mean, that's the first thing it's like, how many African Americans are there in the room? And then how many are female? Like, that's the first thing
Yes.
um, that we always pay attention to. And I found in my journey, because I'm in the military and I'm an African American officer, and
Hmm.
every time I come to the table in these meetings, I'm the only one Black female or Black officer.
Right.
And that pressure's there. That pressure to know what I'm talking about is there.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
pressure to set an example for those that are going to come behind me and be mentors for them as well, to let them know like our path is not easy, but through hard work and determination, we can do it. And so I really push
Absolutely.
to show that for
Absolutely.
sure. Um, as African American woman, we do have to deal with a lot more than other races. And when going through our journey, how are you able to have a good mindset as you're accomplishing all these things?
Well, and I think too, especially I would say African American females, our
Mhm.
internal excellence meter is very high.
That's true.
I think it's just something we're born with, and we're gonna work, we're gonna achieve, and someone we may do something and someone say, "Oh, that was great," but internally we say, "Oh, we wish it had have been more perfect."
Mhm.
When we got to kind of eliminate the word perfect from our environment so that we can enjoy life and learn and grow. But I think it's just something that we're born with. And so coming in, and once you recognize that, then you can sometimes put a smile on your face and enjoy what you've accomplished and rest,
Mhm.
because we put a lot of things on our plate that we don't need to have on our plate. And sometimes the last thing that's on the plate is how to have self-care.
Yeah.
So, how do we juggle that? How do we manage that? And how do we still enjoy life, but just understanding that, this world we live in is very interesting.
Yeah.
And people have some preconceived notice or opinions of us just by how we look versus who we are on the inside. But
Mhm.
then once they find out that excellence meter that we have is so high, they continue to put more and more on our plate, and they go and enjoy life while we're working.
Yep.
So we have got to realize how to say no and how to take care of ourselves. But like I said, also, just how to give back and help those coming behind us. Because our ancestors did the same thing, maybe in a different way, but they, created some pathways for us. And we got to continue to give back.
Absolutely. Give back. And that self-care is so important. I am so big on self-care and just learning how to be intentional, because that burnout feeling is real. Like that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I can't take on anymore. But it was very hard in the beginning because I felt that I had to do everything and I had to keep going, because that's what we do as Black women. We're supposed to endure everything and not show any feelings and just keep going
Yeah,
and keep adding more. And we was not gonna make it that way. I'm like, oh, I need a break. So I really push that, being intentional just about ourselves and about the things that we feel are important. We got to enjoy life.
absolutely.
We have
And
to.
in fact, I'm going to send you one of my newest books. It's called Managing My Eights.
Oh, yeah.
And that means we sleep eight, or supposedly we sleep 8 hours.
So stupid.
We supposed to. Then we're working 8 hours. Let's say we work for someone or in a business. But then that third set of 8 hours, everybody has the same 24 hours. How do we manage that third set of eights?
Mhm.
That's why I said sometimes you have to put some appointments on your calendar just for you. It
Mhm.
may be, okay, I'm gonna get my hair done, my nails done, I'm gonna exercise, I'm gonna do something. Put that appointment on your calendar and keep that appointment with yourself.
That part.
Because then when someone now wants to pour more stuff on your plate, you say, oh, I'm sorry, what date and time? Oh, I'm sorry, I already have an appointment. You don't have to tell them what the appointment is, but it's for you. So I've had to learn, sometimes we learn these things the hard way, that you have got to take care of you and not get so caught up. This is a continuous learning process too. Don't
Yeah.
say it and okay, it's done. Flip your, snap your finger and now you've got it done. No, it's still a learning and growing process. But we have got to manage our eights.
I like that. I like that title, manage your eights. I never thought about it like that. I never thought about it like that. Yes. And I like how before you said no, like no is a whole sentence. It's a
Yes.
whole sentence, y'all. You don't have to say nothing else. It's just no. That's it. No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I really, really like that. You are big on helping others, and you're definitely big on helping others get their stuff in order. You've written a book
Mm-hmm.
about it. So can you
Yes.
talk to me about that?
Here's the thing, everyone, no matter what race, nationality, wherever you live, we had a date we were born, and we have a date that we're going to transition and leave.
Mhm.
We don't know when that second date is going to occur. We're living what they call in that dash.
Mhm. Yes, ma'am.
And yes, I'm as an attorney, I have done wills and estate plans for individuals. But personally, was my personal journey. My father, I'm a daddy's girl. I don't know who else is a daddy's girl. I'm the oldest of 4 siblings. And even my mother would go ask your daddy because he'll tell you yes.
I love
So
it.
I was a daddy's girl, but my sister and I visited my family the week before Father's Day in 2018. That Friday before we were, backing out of the driveway in another city in Georgia, waving at my mother and dad. So we'll see you next week. We're going to come back and go to church with you on Father's Day at your church.
Mhm.
And that was my last memory of my father alive. He had an illness. He died the Friday before Father's Day in
Wow.
2018. Now, and here it is, 2024, and I'm still, all my dots have not connected, but my family's journey of sadness didn't end in June. I actually had death in the family in July, August, September, October,
Oh my goodness.
November, December, January. You
Wow.
don't want to answer the phone. You're just like, who is it this time? And all over the country. Some had their stuff in order, meaning they had a will or a trust or something for their estate plan. Some did not. So my great aunt was the last one in that long line of deaths in the family. She died in January of 2019.
Mm.
Well, 4 months later is when I became the probate court administrator in DeKalb County, Georgia. And probate court is the court that handles that type of law, whether you die with a plan or without a plan, probate court handles that scenario. And now I'm looking at what happens from the state of Georgia's perspective each and every day. Some that had their stuff in order, some did not have their stuff in order, the ugly fights.
Mm.
Because we live in a situation where people have been married a couple of times, they have children in different relationships, different marriages, they don't all like each other, they don't all get along, they don't speak.
Mhm.
But if dad died and didn't have a will or a trust or any other estate plan in place, it's getting ready to be very ugly. So what my sister had encouraged me to do, because I had started writing books at that point, and she said, write a book about what happens and help people to understand this process. And her comment to me was, do not use the fancy legal words you lawyers like to use. Because we don't know what y'all
What
are
y'all
talking
talking
about.
about?
We're
I
gonna
love it.
smile and nod our head like we don't know what y'all are talking about.
Mhm.
Keep it very simple so you can help educate the person.
Yeah.
So that's why the book is entitled Help Me Get My Stuff in Order.
Yes.
And it's actually a workbook because I want you to now go through all the stuff you have, think about it, who would you like to leave your stuff to? It's not the will itself, it's just you getting in the right mindset of looking at it, doing an inventory of all the things you have. And what I call that's what legal life coaching. Now I do a lot of general talks on this topic, and that's what it just become now something that I am just passionate about, both because of how it affected the family from my insides, dealing with all those deaths. And now from the court's perspective, I said God was preparing me from the inside and the outside on this one topic. And I do a lot of talks about it.
Yeah.
And because I am more encouraged to get us to get our stuff in order, because there are some startling statistics in this area. 61% of Caucasian Americans, 67% of English-speaking Asians, 77% of African Americans, and 82% of Hispanics die without a will or an estate plan. So no matter which group you're in, the majority, we don't want to think about it, because I've heard some people say, well, if I do a will, I'm telling God I'm ready to die. No.
Oh.
That second date that we don't want to think about is already predetermined. We just don't know when it's going to occur. You turn on your news every morning, somebody died, either through crime or natural causes or some earthly issue, earthquake. We had this hurricane that come through, and it does a lot of damages, and we just don't know when our second date is going to occur. So that's why I'm kind of like, running around clinging the sounding the horns and knocking on doors and windows and the drum beat, and said, do you have your stuff in order? And when they say, that means no.
No.
That means no. And I said, well, because when I was working for the court and we would do different things in the community, let's say we had one of the malls had like a, talk to lawyers day. And we had a little table set up, and when people came by, we have some little freebies to draw you to come over to the table.
Yeah.
But I was talking, and this one young girl came up. She had two of the cutest kids, and her mother was with her. And I said, do you have your will done? And she said, okay. I said, that means no.
No.
And I said, if something happened to you, what's going to happen to your children? And her comment to me was, well, my mother will step in and take care of the kids. Her mother said, oh, no, 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 no.
Oh, no, I won't.
No, I took care of my kids. So we do a lot of assuming. And I didn't ask about the father, but still. And even when husband and wife, what if you all in the car together and there's an accident and you both die and you have minor children at home? So again, it's just something to put in place in case you don't need it. Well, we do need it at some point. I'm talking about if your children are young and minors, but who you trust. If something happened to you and your children are minors, or you have a special needs child, who do you trust to take care of your kids and not be in it for the money, but in it to really take care of your kids the way you want them to be taken care of? So I just kind of, tossed it out, and they said, oh, I never thought about it. I said, yeah, but you need to. Because I'm sure we all have a family member who's only looking out for the money they think you have.
Right.
If you don't have your stuff in order, they run to the court, ask the judge, can they be in charge? And there's a hearing. And, I tell you, they have that one Denzel tear come down their cheek, like they're so concerned about, taking care of your family and your children. And that's the last person you want to be in charge of taking care of your kids. Your most precious items are your children. But if you don't state who you trust, if something happens, you're going to be surprised. Well, you may not even be around, but the people that you do not want to come forward are going to be the main ones, because they get paid out of your estate to do that job. And I would tell you, I saw some of the ugliest fights, and it's sad.
Yeah.
So again, that has just become one of my, even though I've done other things in my legal career, that one has been, it's taken on a personal meaning, as well as when I saw those statistics, I said, wow, this fits everybody.
Yeah.
Rich, poor, what have you, everybody's going to have that second date. And we all have stuff. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about the value. It's somebody's looking at your stuff right now,
Wanting it.
wanting it.
Mm.
Clothes, jewelry, something. They want it. And if you're a member of a sorority or fraternity organization, you have documents and paraphernalia. You don't want just anybody to get it.
Right.
Or you don't want to, ride by and see some homeless person with this sorority shirt on because the family didn't know that it needed to go to another sorority member. They
Yeah.
just threw it away or gave it away.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, causing people to take a look back at what they have and make some personal decisions. Because if you don't, the state where you live has a process that you don't know what it's all about and how ugly it is.
Mm-hmm.
Where even in Georgia, if you don't have anything, we have to file a notice in the newspaper that runs for 4 consecutive weeks
Oh.
to alert the world that you died without a will. If you an heir or you have a claim against this person's estate and that this person is filing actions wanting to be, the administrator over the estate,
Mm-hmm.
here's the deadline to file your actions, your answers to the court so that we can resolve it with, the world.
Yeah. Oh my
So
God.
if you're a private person and you don't want everybody to find out about your stuff, you need to put some stuff in writing.
Writing. Absolutely. I agree. And I love that. I love this is what you do because it is something that is so important and we work so hard, especially I can talk for myself and my family. I am the first to do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
First one to own a house, first one to do all of this stuff. And so it's like creating that so that it continues to grow in the family. And it's so important to put it in writing. So y'all put it in writing. Like, don't be afraid. And I was afraid too to like even, I don't want to think about this. I was like, I don't want to think about this. Oh my God. But it's so important that we do have these things in order because
Mm-hmm.
you just never know what might happen. Um, with the African American community, though, I mean, I know that stats is for everyone, but why do
Mm-hmm.
you think it's so hard for our community to have their things in order?
Well, it comes down to some of these myths. Like I said, one of them is, well, if I do it will, I'm telling God I'm ready to go. Yeah,
Mhm.
right. Or I don't really have anything worth fighting over. Yes, you do.
Okay.
Or it costs too much money to see a lawyer to get my stuff in order. You could actually do your own will yourself if you know what the law in your state requires.
Mm.
Here in Georgia, you get your will drafted. You can go on Google or wherever, print it out. You you need 2 disinterested witnesses, and disinterested means, let's say, Miss Mack, you leave me your car.
Mhm.
I can't be one of your witnesses because I am interested in your
Gotcha.
affairs. Okay, you named me in the will, that I'm getting something from your will, so I should not be one of the witnesses to your will that saw you sign it.
Okay.
So disinterested means in Georgia, you need 2 disinterested witnesses along with the person whose will it is to sign off on this will. Now, in Georgia and some of the other states too, you can have those signatures notarized.
Mhm.
I encourage people to get the signatures notarized because in Georgia, it's called now a self-proving will,
Okay.
because we don't need now any testimonies from any of your witnesses to say, were you present when Sharon signed her will? Did she know what she was doing? Is this her, you saw her sign, that's her signature, this is yours. If it's not notarized, then the court needs to hear from at least one of your witnesses about that moment when everybody signed.
Mhm.
But what would happen if your witnesses died before you did?
Oh, true.
Now there's no one to testify about that date and time that everybody signed off on the will.
Mhm.
If it's notarized, we don't need any testimony. We're calling that self-proven because it's notarized, and we're trusting that the process that the notary used was the legal process. And we see that notary stamp. So we're gonna take that this will is and the signatures and everything was done at the appropriate process in front of everybody. And the notary saw everybody sign. The notary got his or her stamp on there and their signature. So the court is going to say this will now is self-proving. We don't need any testimony from any of the witnesses.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's just this topic. Nobody wants to talk about death.
Mhm.
But then here we are saying that we're Christians or that we're religious.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things in the Bible says, leave an inheritance for your children's children, your grandkids. How do you leave something for your grandkids if it's not put in writing? We can't take all this stuff with us. Yeah, you may have a necklace or some rings on. Hopefully that, when the funeral isn't over, somebody didn't go and take it off.
Take them. You just never know. You
You
never
never
know.
know. But we have things that are important. And I think, like you said, you're one of the first ones in your family to do a lot of things. You want to leave a legacy.
Mhm.
You may want to leave something to a nonprofit or to your church or to a family member. But again, if you've spent your lifetime acquiring things, why not you make the decision of who gets it when you transition? I think it's just something that it's just a topic we don't want to think about.
Mhm.
Although we know we have a date, we just don't want to even, I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
But when they talk about it, it costs more money when you don't do it. Like I said, filing that notice in the newspaper has a cost.
Yeah.
Having that trial with everybody coming forward fighting has a cost.
The cost. Yeah.
But if you had your stuff in order and nobody's contesting your will, yes, that's the will. That's what she said she wanted to have happen. Okay, now you have named how you want your stuff split up. So it's a much easier process. And I'm gonna give you one more example. When I was a younger attorney, I had a lady to come and see me. She was 85 years old. She brought me 10 sheets of notebook paper where she wrote out everything she owned and who she wanted to leave it to. She just wanted me to put it in proper legal order.
Mm-hmm.
But when I say everything, she had sheets, towels, dishes, what
Wow.
color they were, what they looked like, hats, pocketbooks, shoes, jewelry, furniture. I mean, and this lady was 85 years old, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And her comment to me, she said, now, baby, please don't laugh at me.
Oh.
I just have had too much ugly fighting in the family when other people died without having a will. I don't want no mess when it's my time.
Yes, ma'am.
So I said, ma'am, I'm not laughing. I said, you're probably, to this day, she's probably one of the smartest clients I have had to even think about. An 85-year-old woman wrote out everything she owned and who she wanted it to go to, brought those sheets to me. We completed and did her will. When she came back to sign it and notarize and everything in the office, she had the biggest smile on her face because she said, now I can go and enjoy the rest of my life,
I love it.
knowing that when my time comes, it ain't gonna be no mess.
Yes.
And she had the biggest smile on her face when she left with her, her will documents and stuff. And I said, that's the key.
Yeah.
Once you've gone through those processes with other family members,
Mm-hmm.
that's a wake-up call to get your stuff done so that, again, we don't know that second date, but you can now enjoy because, when the time comes, it ain't going to be no mess.
No mess.
And I'm telling you, she had those 10, when I tell people that story, I said she had, what color towels, dishes, sheets.
She
I
was
mean,
playing
she
around.
wasn't playing around. It's like, you can't gonna say, I said you could have my blue sheets with the flowers.
That goes to this person. Don't touch
Right. Right. So she's already decided who's getting what. And for have someone at 85 years old to do that, that lets us know that we all need to do that.
Mhm.
Because I'm sure you've heard, just in the news, some of the people that we've heard about that have money, who have fought because they did not have a will. Prince didn't have a will. James Brown, Marvin Gaye,
Mhm.
Tupac, Chadwick Boseman, the guy that played Black Panther.
Mhm.
Now his situation was real ugly. See how I know about all these things, because when you don't have a will and you have to go in the newspaper, we
Yeah.
find out about the fighting.
Gosh.
So here's Chadwick Boseman. He got diagnosed with cancer
Cancer.
4 years before he passed away. He was still doing movies, had a girlfriend that he had been dating for a while, and she would always be on set, looking after him because everybody didn't know how bad his health was.
Mhm.
And they got married kind of close to his death. He didn't have any children, but he did have a mom and dad. Mom and dad filed legal actions challenging the marriage. Their thing is, well, if Chadwick didn't know what he was doing, he wasn't in his right mind, then the marriage is not valid, which means there's no wife, no children. Mom and dad get the pot of gold.
Yeah.
Why he didn't have a will or an estate plan, I don't know. But he's not the only one. I mean, it's just because, we know who he is and it was publicized in the media that we found out about the fighting. And they spent, the wife and the parents spent about 150,000 just in legal fees
Mm.
fighting over that one issue. Then they eventually just decided to split it 50-50.
Wow.
So you just don't know how bad things can be when you don't put your stuff in order. It's
Mhm.
your stuff versus you not doing anything and letting people fight over it. Because I'm sure Chad would not have wanted that kind of a scenario to come forth. But again, if you don't do something, your state is going to control how and who is going to get your stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You guys, listen, get your stuff in order, please. Like you just
Please.
got so many gems dropped on you today, especially if you're in the state of Georgia. I'm just telling you, put it in writing and take the time to do it. Have the difficult conversations because it will definitely save some time and fighting in the
Mhm.
long run. Oh my
Absolutely.
God. Thank you so much for sharing that.
And let me just say this, even if you're in a different state, you can still contact me because I'm a member of many bar associations here in Georgia. I can find some referrals of some lawyers in your city and state where you are. I just want you to stop procrastinating on this issue and get your stuff in order.
Absolutely. Can you tell everyone where they can get a copy of your book?
Well, I have a free book that I would love to share with your fans and your audience. If they go to www.helpmegetmystuffinorder.com, I
Yeah.
have a free ebook, and then they can also get in contact with me at that same website. And I would love to connect with them, but like I said, it's become a passion of me just to talk about it because I know how it feels going through all those deaths we had in our family.
Mm,
And then again, a few months later, now I'm looking at it from a course perspective every day.
right.
And the number one statement I used to hear it when I was working in court, Ms. Mack, was, I didn't know that's what the law required.
Mm, yep.
Well, just because you didn't know.
Doesn't mean it's not a thing.
Right. Or they think because daddy lived with me and I have other siblings, but I'm the oldest child, I'm in charge. No.
Mm,
And there was one situation, when you talk to lawyers, we can go on and on and on. I
Oh,
know.
no, you.
Let me give you this one little story, because I was, when I was working for the court, I was actually sitting in the front where the clerks work when people come in through the door needing help. So I was there one morning, and this lady came in. I said, "Oh, I can just tell the expression on her face. It's going to be an interesting discussion." She had her dad lived with her.
Mhm.
She was the oldest of 5 siblings. Dad had died maybe a week ago.
Mhm.
And at first she went to the bank to see if she can get access to dad's money in his account to help pay for the funeral. But again, if your name is not on the account, or there's a form at your bank called Pay on Death where you can leave your account to someone. So dad didn't have her name on the account as a joint owner and didn't have that form filled out, leaving her the bank account. But because the bank knew she was going to show out, they said, "Oh, no. Go to probate court, get an order from the judge giving you access to the money, come back and we'll give you the access to the money." And so we can do all that in one day. Okay. They just wanted to get her out the bank.
Right.
So she left the bank, headed to probate court, came in, and I could tell by the expression on her face it was going to be an interesting discussion. So I kind of took over from the clerks. I said, "And how can we help you?" And she kept telling me the story that she just left the bank and she needs to get an order from the court. And I said, "Well, did your dad have a will?" No, he did not. Was he married? No, her mother had died 20 years ago, so didn't have a legal spouse, just dad living with her.
Mhm.
I said, "Now, how many other brothers and sisters?" "Well, it's 5 of us. I'm the oldest." I said, "Okay." "Are you asking the court to name you as the administrator over your dad's affairs?" "Yes." So I gave her the packet that she needs to fill out and the cost, as well as that notice that we would have to put in the newspaper. And then she looked at me like, you know, I said, "Well, are your siblings going to agree that you're the person in charge, or are they going to ask the court to name them to be in charge of your dad's affairs?" Well, I don't know. So that means it's going to be a hearing.
Yep. Here we go.
Here we go. But then she told me the strangest thing. She said that her son had her dad's ATM card. And every day since the dad had died, going to the ATM, withdrawing the max amount out of the account.
Oh, no.
I told her, I said, "You know your son getting ready to go to jail." She like, eyes get big. "What do you mean?" I said, "He's stealing.
Mhm.
If your dad died a week ago and we see every day since his death was 350, whatever the max that you can withdraw out of that account every day, out of his account every day, we know someone is stealing his money." And probably he was getting it for the mother, but she didn't say that part.
Right,
But I
right.
said, "You need to get that card, cut it up, or put that money back, because you're stealing from your dad's estate."
Mhm.
So again, people would talk themselves into doing things that they think make sense, and they have no clue what's required and what the process is. And then I asked her, I said, "Okay, your dad didn't have a will. Do you have one?" And her thing was,
No. That means
no.
no.
That means no. So, I said, "Okay, when we go through this, as a family member, that's also another thing to tell you. I need to get my personal stuff in order. You have children." But that's the thing. It's like we think we know, we don't know. And no, it's a personal issue, but the fights that come from the children and the things that you think you know. Let me leave you with one last thing. So again, we lawyers can talk on and on. One other little key, because I want people to know, oh, I need to get my stuff in order.
Yes.
So in Georgia, let's say husband and wife have a house and they have children. Let's say he had children from a previous marriage. They have children together. Husband and wife's name is on the deed to the house. Husband dies, no will. Who owns the house?
The wife.
Mm. Here's here's the thing. Here's the thing. In Georgia, the deed to the house must state husband and wife with rights of survivorship.
Oh,
If that with rights of survivorship language is not there, each person just owns 50% of the house. So if the husband dies, let's say the language is there, it says husband and wife with rights of survivorship. The first one that dies, the survivor now owns the whole house 100%.
okay.
If that language is not there, they just each own 50% of the house. So if the husband died first, no will, who are the husband's heirs? The
Wow.
wife, hopefully she's a legal spouse, not just
Yeah.
shacking up.
Yes, that part too.
Gotta be legal. The legal wife is an heir, but all of the children are heirs.
Mhm.
So now George is going to split up his 50% among his heirs. If it's just one child and one wife, they're going to split his 50% in half, 50-50. If it's one wife and two kids, they'll be split up 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. If it's more than two kids, the wife gets no less than 1/3. And all of the kids now will be splitting up the 2/3 percentage.
Okay.
But depending on how many kids, it could be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, depending on the number of children who
Yeah.
own a certain percentage of the house. You talking about a mess, right? Can you even,
Oh.
I could see your brain was like, oh, that's going to be real
Think
ugly.
about it. It could go like crazy because you're thinking like, no, I'm the wife. I got it. And they're like, not really. If it's not done properly,
Right.
no. And here we go with the mess and the arguing and the fighting.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness.
So, people say, well, I don't know if that language is in my deed. I said, well, you need to go to the courthouse and get a copy of your deed to see if it's there. If it's not there, you can get it added to the deed, or do a will that states if the husband's will says, if I die first, my 50% of the house goes to the wife.
Yeah.
So you've already determined who's getting your 50% versus you assuming you know.
Who it
And
goes.
then you find out, oh, I didn't know that. And it's getting ready. And I've sat in on some of those trials, and it was some of the ugliest fighting.
Oh my God.
Because you end up now with, he had 3 or 4 kids, and then one child come out the closet everybody didn't know about. You got to do a DNA test
Oh
to
God.
determine, is this an heir?
Mm.
That's the thing. It's like, get your stuff in order, please,
Yes.
everybody. I mean, everybody has some unique situations going on, but get your stuff in order so you can keep people out your business.
Mhm.
You make some decisions, and you've decided what you want to do with the stuff God has allowed you to acquire throughout your lifetime, and leave a legacy to people that you love, to
Yeah.
your church, to nonprofits, to your family, to your kids, to your spouse, to whomever.
Mhm.
But you get to decide versus it becoming a big mess in court.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being a part of the Beauty and You podcast and just sharing all that information. I mean, you guys rewind it, write it down. All the information is going to be linked in the show notes. I mean, this is awesome. I want to thank you so much for being here today.
Where I'm going to be sending you not only the Help Me Get My Stuff in Order book, but that one, the Managing My Eights.
Yes, I cannot wait.
And I would, maybe you may want to do a podcast show on people. We need to write books too, because we've gone through so much that we've learned. Like I said, like I said
Mhm.
earlier, our excellence level is real high.
Yes.
We've learned a lot of things that, you're the only one in the room, or very few of us are in the room. You get in the room and it's 10,000 people and 5 Black people.
Mhm. We're like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
All right, this is what we're doing.
So we've learned things that can help those coming behind us, the younger generation,
Yeah.
that they can now, not have to make a lot of mistakes because they're following now a path that gets them help. So I always kind of encourage people, get your stuff in order. And now let's talk about writing that book about what you've done to help somebody. We've gone through the test. Now you got a testimony.
Yep. Tell your story.
Share your story, help
Mm.
someone, and it gives you some more money coming in the door too.
Yay. Yes. Y'all know I'm all about telling your story. I'm big on it. Like, tell your story. You can inspire someone. And as long as you're inspiring one person, you've done your job. So, yes, please share your story, get your stuff in order. And all right, you guys, thank you for another great show. And until next time.